this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Life moves fast. At American Military University, they're ready to help you keep up. AMU's flexible, affordable online programs in cybersecurity, IT, space studies, and more are designed for service members, veterans, and their families. AMU provides the support you need to take the next step wherever life takes you. American Military University, built for what's next. Learn more at amu.apus.edu. American Military University, built for what's next. Learn more at amu.apus.edu. This episode is brought to you in part by Uber Eats. Every time you sit down to watch the game, you find yourself getting a little hungry. Football and food just go together. Good thing Uber Eats has game day deals all season long. We're talking savings on your favorite eats and snacks, wings, pizza, chips, drinks, you name it. Whether it's from your favorite restaurant or straight from the grocery store, Uber Eats has deals on everything you need for game day. Get game day deals on Uber Eats. Order now.
You're about to listen to a special edition of the Late Round Fantasy Football Show, which was recorded at Radio Row prior to this year's Super Bowl. If you want to watch it, you can find it on YouTube as well, youtube.com/@LateRoundFF. The format's a little bit different than usual, but we hope that you still get a lot from listening to the show. Next week, we'll be back in our normal schedule, but for now, we hope you enjoy.
Welcome in. It's the Late Round Fantasy Football Show live from Radio Row here at the Super Bowl. JJ, you and I both survived, and we are here right now.
Barely.
Yes.
Got a foot of snow in Charlotte. Literally. You know that I said that we got a foot of snow on Twitter?
Yeah.
And someone responded, and they asked Grok if Charlotte got a foot of snow.
Grok, is this true?
As if I'm lying that we got a foot of snow. But fortunately, I was able to move my flight a little bit later on Monday.
Yeah.
And I made it out here. I am working on 4 hours of sleep right now.
I know.
Not fun.
I know. But we're going to power through. We've got a fun show today. We'll also be here tomorrow as well. And we're even doing some little player interviews. So make sure that you are continuing to like, subscribe, listen, comment, wherever you will. And also, big news, if you missed it in the Friday newsletter, which, by the way, go sign up at lateround.com. We got lots of good stuff coming in the newsletter. But if you missed it, the pre-order for the prospect guide now available. So all your rookies, all your year 2 players, and JJ, this year we have something new.
We do. We are doing tight end
profiles.
Yeah, and not just the scores, because the scores have been there in the past. The other thing too is that, like, in the past, I've had the tight end model, and that model, it's not been bad or anything, but it needs a little bit of work. And so I'm working with Brandon Gadula to make sure that things are looking good. And so he is going to be writing a lot of those profiles for tight ends. And, obviously I'm going to be working with him on the tight end profiles.
Yeah.
But
he's not going rogue on tight ends.
Yeah. I'm not ignoring the position. I just need help because there's a lot of pages in that prospect guide. I mean, usually we're looking at like 150 plus pages in this thing.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get the running back profiles, the wide receiver profiles, the tight end profiles, and then the year 2 stuff is still going to be in there with the running backs and the wide receivers for year 2. And I need to get on it. I need to start working on that thing more.
Yeah.
I've been working on it, just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you're invited by the fine folks at the at iHeart and the NFL to come to
priority shift
the Super Bowl week, then you say, okay, I'm gonna go. We'll push it back a few days later. So looking forward to that. I know a lot of people out there are anxious to see what this rookie class is incoming,
including myself.
Yes.
To be fair, I've not done nearly enough research yet on this class to have takes right now. So it's a little bit later, but also we did give ourselves an extra week at launch, so it's middle of March as opposed to kind of like more towards the beginning of March for the release of the prospect guide.
All right, and with that, let's get on to today's news.
Today's fantasy news.
All right, JJ, we've got today's news. First off, we are here on the iHeartRadio set, the NFL Podcast Network set. We made it like we just talked about. The weather, I walked around all day yesterday by myself.
I left you stranded.
By myself in San Francisco. and I miss you, but I want to know, are you feeling any different now about the whole weather thing? Because I feel like I asked the weather question about like weather games and stuff, and then we've had like bad weather.
Yeah.
Like Nashville ice storm.
I hate all weather right now.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I feel worse for my wife, who I left to come here, and she's at home with my 7 and 3-year-old while they're off school, and I'm sitting here in front of this fantastic crowd of people.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
just living the dream, just doing a show and talking ball, and going to talk to some players and such. And so thank you to my wife for being at home with the children. But I mean, like, coming here to San Francisco, to me, this is an ideal climate, right? Because you get like low 60s during the day. It's always sunny, all that kind of stuff, and it's a very good climate when you just got a foot of snow and you were in 20-degree weather. Yeah.
For sure. All right, let's talk about some of today's news. And most of the news right now is centered around coaching. Yeah. Lots of coaching changes. People accepting offers, people backing out of offers, people crying about offers. In the late round Discord today, noted Giants fan Deeb, he was in a state of disbelief because Matt Nagy was announced the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants.
Look, I got to watch what I say here.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a lot of people that are part of the league around us right now.
Right.
Okay? Look, it's an uninspiring hire. That's the way that I would put it.
Yeah.
It's a hire that I don't think Giants fans are excited about. And I think there's reason to not be overly bullish and excited about. I think when you have a quarterback like Jackson Dart, you're going to want to pair him with sort of an up-and-coming younger coordinator to kind of mesh with an older head coach who understands the leadership side of things, which is what you have in John Harbaugh. And if you look at the data with Matt Nagy the last 3 years of him in Kansas City, obviously he took over for Eric Bieniemy, and now Bieniemy's back as
in
OC.
Kansas City,
in Kansas City. They've just been flip-flopping. But over the last 3 years, here, let me just read what happened with Eric Bieniemy in 2022. A lot of people are going to hear this and they're going to think, oh, well, they had Tyreek Hill. No, Tyreek Hill was already in Miami at this point. So this is the final season with Eric Bieniemy as offensive coordinator for Kansas City. And in that season, they had a total EPA of 201.4. Their expected points added per play was 0.19. Okay. And so their success rate on offense was over 50%. Their rushing EPA per play was only minus 0.01. I know that's below zero, but rushing is less efficient than passing, which is why EPA numbers are below zero like that for rushing. The rushing success rate was 45%. Their pass rate over expected was 11% over expected. So overall, that offense was cooking with Eric Bieniemy that final year. And then Matt Nagy takes over. Okay, 2023, 2024, and 2025. 2023, we see him take over, and the EPA per play goes from 0.19 to 0.02. And then the next 2 years with Matt Nagy, 0.07, 0.03. Okay? Success rate, overall success rate for the offense, 50.4% with Eric Bieniemy. Then it goes to 44%, 48%, 45%. So essentially what I'm getting at is every single year post Eric Bieniemy with Matt Nagy, it's gone down. It's been worse, objectively worse. And to me, it's not that I think Matt Nagy's going to necessarily fail. It's just, again, it's an uninspiring hire when you consider what he did with that offense versus a similar. I mean, look, if you look at that 2022 Chiefs team, it's Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's not a very deep roster whatsoever. And now, and then you look at what they had even last year, and even the year before that. I don't think there's been enough of a shift offensively for that team to warrant such differing numbers from coordinator to coordinator. And that to me is a red flag for this hire, in general. But like I always say, bottom line with coaching hires, we don't know. We don't know. We have to be we don't know things about projecting player performance in general in fantasy football. It's even more difficult whenever you're looking at coaching stuff because there's just so many layers, there's so much nuance. We don't know exactly who's influencing what, et cetera, et cetera. But my overall vibe is probably the same vibe that a lot of Giants fans feel right now. They're just kind of like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't it just be someone a little bit better?
I mean, I feel like they were on cloud nine because they got Harbaugh as their coach.
Yeah.
And he was pick number one. And
which, I do think that the Harbaugh thing though too, it's was it a bad hire? No. Was it this excellent, amazing, incredible hire? I don't even know if that's necessarily going to be the case. It's partially because of what I just said about coaching, but There's a lot of the data going around about like Mike McCarthy versus John Harbaugh, and there's not this significant difference between win percentage and how well they performed, et cetera, and people will poo-poo, and I understand why the Mike McCarthy getting him to head coach of Steelers.
Right.
But they're not doing this. The complete opposite vibe with Harbaugh. I'm not saying that I think McCarthy is the better coach. I'm just saying that when you compare and contrast the two, it's not so significant. I'm just of the belief that if you really want to take a team to the next level, I'd rather take chances on leaders and new coaches and kind of fresh blood into the system instead of recycling coaches who have already shown that from one regime to another or one offensive coordinator to another, there's no improvement. It was actually the opposite with Matt Nagy, right? And so, I think that coaching staff in general, it's not as inspiring as I would want it to be, especially with Jackson Dart, who I think is one of the best young up-and-coming quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, as fantasy guys, we want the exciting, the sexy hire at
I'm okay with
OC.
admitting that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a blind spot, but it's, it's fun.
Well, as far as if you look at the sheet that we've done on the late round show, like we're starting to fill in names, both on the offense coordinator side and the coaching side. You got Clint Kubiak and Mike LaFleur, who are now for the Raiders and the Cardinals. So all the head coaching spots are filled. Declan Doyle announced as the Ravens offensive coordinator. You've got Sean Mannion with the Eagles and Davis Webb with Broncos. So we're getting set to where the teams know who they have.
There's some really interesting hires in here. I mean, I think that if you want to start with some of the coaching stuff, I think the Clint Kubiak hire was pretty strong. Just in general, obviously, we're here in San Francisco. Seattle's about to play on Sunday. He's been somewhat of an innovator in the way that, he does the things that we want to see offenses do in today's game, which is get receivers in space, move them around, lots of play action, lots of motion at the line. I would argue that he relies a little bit too much on the run game, especially from like a pass rate over expected perspective. But I think Kubiak is a good hire, like a solid hire. But again, with head coaching hires, it's like, we don't know what kind of leadership. Some dudes are awesome coordinators, but they don't necessarily translate.
Well, and he's calling the plays. That's important.
Yeah, of course. And then the LaFleur one, if you look at the track record of offensive coordinators under Sean McVay, going on and coaching teams, you have guys like Zach Taylor and obviously Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
There's a pretty decent track record of this. I'm expecting Nate Scheelhaus to be more involved there now moving forward. And, he was already a name in this coaching cycle. I think next year, Scheelhaus is going to be somebody that a lot of teams are looking at as sort of a, one of those young up-and-coming dudes who, again, has been attached to Sean McVay. Yeah. And if you're attached to Sean McVay...
He's the sexy hire.
When is this going to end, the Sean McVay stuff? Like,
I don't know.
Like, literally anything he touches just ends up turning to gold, at least from the perspective of what teams are doing.
We used to have the Bill Belichick tree,
Yeah.
So
it's Sean McVay now.
Maybe he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Okay, when the Saints go marching out, because you talked about McCarthy... He thought he may have some guys. Scott Tolzien, though, is not going to be the offensive coordinator. He was the passing game coordinator there for the Saints, not going, and neither is Chase Hazlitt, the tight ends coach for the Saints.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because both of those guys would have gotten promotions.
Yeah,
essentially. I don't know. We've seen this a little bit. Like Davis Webb was an example of this, where they fire offensive coordinator. You just kind of assume that there's a promotion coming, even though Davis Webb was someone that was getting a lot of love elsewhere throughout the league and around the league. But with this, these guys, maybe some sort of promotion's coming, maybe something's going on, but I think that they just like the situation, and it might speak to Tyler Shuck.
Yeah.
Do you think? Like it could mean that they see
they
something.
They believe in him.
Yeah, like they see
like
something
he's their
in
meal
him.
ticket.
Yeah, and they look at Pittsburgh and they're like, well, they're well, they don't even have a quarterback right now, but if they are, approaching and trying to get Aaron Rodgers, we don't want to be in quarterback purgatory. We would rather, we're already getting looks right now based on what Tyler Shuck did last year and what this offense kind of morphed into last year. And that was without Rashid Shaheed gets traded midseason. Chris Olave stepped up and was the target hog that we know that he is. That was an offense that lacked legit weapons.
Yeah.
And they were still at least like getting it done to a degree. And I thought Tyler Shuck was shooting up Offensive Rookie of the Year leaderboards from a betting perspective, with his play down the stretch. So I think it might speak to that a little bit more. Like if you got Tyler Shuck in the third round of your rookie Superflex draft last year, that's a good value.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really, really good value.
Yeah. He was going late, the late round quarterback. He was going late, not even drafted in a lot of leagues, and being later on in there. As far as the Pittsburgh side, though, it might be the opposite, where they see Tyler Shuck and they're like, yes.
Look, I've been warming up to the Mike McCarthy hire a little bit more. Yeah. I will say I do think that it's not a good signal,
right? Yeah.
That these guys are not joining. Yeah,
I'm good.
Where they're like, no, we'd rather be with, because there's a chance that Tyler Shuck isn't him, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'd rather be here in New Orleans on a team that's clearly not there yet.
Right.
We wouldn't say that they're there. So yeah, maybe there's a little bit of an issue with how McCarthy is running that. It could be a play calling thing too.
Yeah.
There could be some of that going on. We'll see. I mean, the Steelers have filled out that coaching staff for the most part, aside from what's kind of going on offense. And we'll see what happens. But I don't want to read too much into it.
Yeah,
but I don't think you can take it as a good thing.
Right. Well, here is a good thing in Pittsburgh, and that is the NFL draft that's coming.
That's true.
You saw the announcements.
Yeah.
You're still saying no to going.
Buddy, we just talked about the prospect guy.
I know.
Okay, we have a lot of
It's in Pittsburgh though. It's in your backyard.
Here. We'll ask listeners. Would you guys rather have me go enjoy a night of the draft, okay, and be a day late with the delivery of this draft guide for the rookie ranks, or be on time? And I think 99% of people will say just be on time.
You're selfish.
You're my fantasy analyst. I don't care how good of a time you have up in your hometown in Pittsburgh.
You're saying that Thursday day one could be fun, but it does look like it's going to be fun. Your Pittsburghness, does it, like when you see that picture and everything, does it like it at least?
You don't lose any part of it. When you leave Pittsburgh, it's still always a part of your kitchen. It's always a part of you.
Today's data.
All right, we're here with today's data. And you've got some Super Bowl spreads for us, JJ.
Yeah, look, there's not that much depth here per se, but I was curious to see if there's any sort of like similar games that have happened historically in the Super Bowl. Obviously, this is 60, so there's not like a massive sample size, but we do have spread data that dates back to basically all of them. I think the only Super Bowl one we didn't have a total, and so I looked back at all of that and I found 8 different Super Bowls that had a spread that was within a half a point of the one that we're about to watch. And we've seen 5 kind of over the last, since that Ravens 49. I guess you can go to the Saints and Colts whenever the Saints beat the Colts in that Super Bowl back in the mid-2000s. But there have been a handful of games that have been within a half point of the one that we're about to watch. And what I found kind of interesting, and this is not predictive, you guys.
Right.
Okay, I need to be clear. This is not
It's more historical.
This is more just like an interesting thing to kind of look at, because I think that most people are entering the Super Bowl and they're like, Seattle's the better team. Yeah. Seattle has the edge. We got to give it to Seattle. But we were saying and running with the same narratives for a lot of these other teams that were 4.5 point favorites, and they did not win. The only team over the last 5 where the spread has been within half a point of what the spread is for this one, which is -4.5. 4 of the 5 teams, the underdog has won. You get the Eagles over the Patriots, you have the Broncos over the Panthers, you have the Ravens over the 49ers, and the Saints over the Colts. The only one that wasn't was the Bengals against the Rams, where that was tight. That was a relatively tight game where the Bengals still beat the spread in that game. So I don't know, man. We're going to talk about what the Patriots are likely to do on offense, what the Seahawks are likely to do on offense. And we can kind of see how this game unfolds, but I'm not going to be shocked based on what we've seen historically and just some of the research I've done if this game is a little bit closer than people think.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about these games, and we'll be talking about each team. So we're covering the Patriots today. Right. We're covering the Seahawks tomorrow. So with that being said, let's get on to the main event.
The late round main event.
All right, we're talking about the New England side of this Super Bowl LX matchup, JJ. And so these are some key call-outs that you've kind of created for New England.
Yeah, so I want to approach this from the perspective of like what I think New England's going to do and how successful they might be in doing those things. And this is based off of matchup and based off of what they do well. So I just have a ton of notes. I'm going to go through them. This is what I think will happen on the New England side of the ball when they have the ball and when they're on offense. Okay. So first off, they're over 3-point underdogs for just the second time this year, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Now, everyone's made a really big deal about the schedule. Here I am once again making a big deal of the schedule. But I've been on record saying that you can still see how good a team is based on how they perform against bad teams too. And New England's had a great point differential, et cetera, et cetera. Like they've done what they've needed to do and more. And analytics agree that they're a good team. Like I think New England representing the AFC is totally fine during a year where there are weaker AFC teams, you know? So I just want to get that out of the way. But they are over 3-point underdogs for just the second time this year. You know, if you look at overall pass rate for New England, that's not going to be super, super helpful because they've been favored in a lot of games. They've played weaker opponents. So obviously, when that's the case, game script is in their favor. They're going to run the ball a little bit more. But Kitchen, they ranked top 5 in the NFL this year in pass rate over expected. They saw over 3 more pass attempts per game in games where they were underdogs this year. So I do expect them to have a more pass-heavy approach. That's not just because of the way game script might go and the fact that they're underdogs here, but Seattle has by far the best EPA per rush defense in the NFL. They've been the best at stopping the run across the league. They're top in rushing yards over expected per attempt allowed. They've been so good in the front at stopping these opposing running backs. And if you look at this on a game-by-game basis, only Washington in Week 9 had a greater than 50% success rate on the ground against Seattle, which is bonkers. Only 5 teams finished with a positive rushing yards over expected against Seattle. Only 1 team finished with a positive EPA per rush against them. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how good the Seattle defense has been against the run. So what that means is, so Seattle, they do have a good pass defense. They're the 8th best pass defense by EPA per dropback allowed, but they're just so good against the run. When you combine that with New England potentially trailing / being in this kind of game script, and the fact that they have a high pass rate over expected to begin with. Pass rate over expected, for those, you know, because we throw this around all the time. Pass rate over expected is looking at game script situations and seeing, is this team more pass heavy than a team typically would be in this situation, right? So New England is more pass heavy, in these situations than other teams typically would be. So this is what I think could happen. Drake May might just scramble a lot in this game because there's going to be more dropbacks. That means that there's more opportunities for scrambles. In Seattle, they also generate pressures at the 4th highest rate in the league, despite blitzing at the 4th lowest rate. So what that means is they're getting pressure on the quarterback without having to send a lot of guys, which means they have enough players in coverage where it's going to be more difficult on the quarterback to find the open receiver. What happens then? Quarterback scramble. And that's what's happened against Seattle all year. Seattle's faced the most quarterback scrambles of any team in football this year. So New England, they're 6th in pressure rate allowed, but only Geno Smith, Tyler Shuck, and Cam Ward. So 2 rookie quarterbacks, and Geno Smith, who had the worst season of in a while for Geno Smith with Vegas. Only those 3 quarterbacks were worse in pressure to sack rate than Drake May this year. So my fear is that Seattle's going to be able to get to Drake May and beat that offensive line. Mm-hmm. Drake May then obviously
some fumble issues.
Yeah, we've seen that in the playoffs.
Yeah,
but Drake May is going to have to do something under pressure, and it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to find that open receiver. So he's going to scramble. That's what he's done, throughout the season. So I think that there's a chance that he sees a lot of rushing yards in this game and a lot of scrambles, but there's also a chance that he's still sacked a lot in this game, right? So if you're looking at betting lines and such, this is not a betting podcast. We're not, I don't give betting advice. That's just not what I do. But I do think that this is a situation where I think the line was like 3.5 sacks for Seattle. I would take the over. The Patriots have faced 4 top 10 teams in pressure rate this year. 3 of those 4 teams sacked Drake May 4 or more times. So that's the over, right? In that kind of situation. So I'm expecting May to get sacked at least 4 times in this game, but also expecting him to maybe run the ball a lot and potentially, as I say potentially as like a long shot, actually lead the Patriots in rushing yards in this game. Because Seattle's so good at stopping the run just naturally, and Ramondre Stevenson,
I'm locking that in.
I think there's a chance that Drake May outrushes this is okay. I say a chance. I don't mean like a 50-50 chance. Of course, I'm not going to say. But if the odds are good enough, if you want to bet on that, whatever. I'm not going down that path. I'm just giving you guys what I'm seeing from a spreadsheet perspective. The other thing that I think they're going to do is I think New England's going to throw a lot more underneath. Drake May was arguably the best deep ball passer in the NFL this past year. Okay. But he might not have as much time for those plays to develop because of the pressure rate and the kind of pressure that Seattle can put on him. And Seattle was top 5 in too high safety rate this past year. So Seattle's they're better at preventing those bigger plays, and that's obviously something that Drake May's really thrived on. And this is from Brandon Gadula of Late Round.
Yeah.
He was doing a little bit of research for this, and it was really, really good and interesting stat. But in games where teams showed specific safety tendencies, here's Drake May's adjusted net yards per attempt rates. Okay, so single high, when teams generally showed single high the majority of the time, he had an 8.52 adjusted net yards per attempt rate. In a more balanced situation where it was kind of both two and single, 7.73 adjusted net yards per attempt. When he's faced too high, 6.07, 3 games where he's faced the majority of the defenses had too high safeties. I think that we're going to see fewer deep ball passes. He's going to take his shots because that's what he does. He's a pretty aggressive thrower, and he's unbelievable at getting the ball down the field. But I think we're going to see a little bit more of a conservative approach through the air from Drake May in this game, not just because he's a young quarterback in the Super Bowl and that's a big deal inherently, but the other side of this is just that I think the matchup dictates this. And if you look at what Seattle does defensively, they were 31st in adjusted target share allowed to wide receivers this year, which means when teams face Seattle, they weren't throwing to wide receivers at a very high rate, second lowest rate in all football. But Seattle ranked first in adjusted running back target share allowed, and they were 15th in adjusted tight end target share allowed, 11th in slot wide receiver target share allowed. So what does that tell you? Teams are throwing to their running backs, so behind the line of scrimmage or close to the line of scrimmage, middle of the field slot receivers, middle of the field tight ends. And Seattle faced the highest percentage of targets actually in the NFL behind the line of scrimmage this season. So I would look for New England if we're looking at this matchup. Okay, I'm not saying that like this is definitely because maybe they don't like this matchup, or maybe, I'm clearly could be looking at this wrong too because I get plenty of stuff wrong. But I would look for New England to use their running backs a lot as receivers in this game. I would look at them to use Stefon Diggs out of the slot. I would not be shocked if Diggs sees one of the highest route participation rates of his season, because we tilted about this during the fantasy season.
Yeah,
how Diggs would see a 75% route share and then a 50% route share and then an 80% route share. He was all over the place. I think this could be a Stefon Diggs game. Like, I think that he could see a lot of looks out of the slot and just in general, inherently, closer to the line of scrimmage and being that reliable target for Drake May. And then Hunter Henry in the middle of the field, I think is a really, really intriguing player to watch because Seattle's been kind of okay against tight ends this year, not spectacular. And that's something that the Patriots can do to kind of combat and beat this defense. So, I would look at those three being Stefon Diggs in the passing game, Stefon Diggs, Hunter Henry, and then I guess you have to say Ramondre Stevenson because TreVeyon Henderson played 4 snaps in the AFC Championship game. Now, do I think that New England would be smart to, and this is not a bias, I've taken the L with Ramondre. He dominated the final month of the season. He made me look like a moron. I get all that. But I do think that this could, like, the hypothetical TreVeyon Henderson, right?
It would be funny, too, if this was the week that he went off after we discounted him after last week, because that's kind of the story of the season.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, like, I do think that Ramondre is more than capable, but TreVeyon Henderson objectively has more burst and can and generate bigger plays. Like, Ramondre is a much more complete back right now, but I'm saying that TreVeyon, you get him in space and you allow for some of that to work and happen. I think it can win against this defense in the way that Seattle plays. So, will they do that? I don't think that we can confidently, if we had if we had 2 games of New England against Seattle and we could just see the snap rates for Ramondre Stevenson and TreVeyon, then I could more confidently say this is the way that, we're going to feel about TreVeyon Henderson. I think the matchup is there though for a receiving back to do some and do some damage against the Seattle defense, just based on the fact that they were not great at limiting underneath throws. And that's probably the way that this offense is going to need to beat them, because that pressure is going to be in Drake May's face all game long, more than likely. So, key takeaways. Okay. I know I just spewed out a lot.
It's all right.
All right. I've been gathering data for like a week and a half now, and I just kind of threw it all out there. Just
multiple times even.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You guys, we're going to talk about Seattle tomorrow. I had to redo the Seattle stuff on the plane on the way here because I had some tech issues, which was really fun. But yeah, key takeaways for New England in the offense, right? Pass heavy approach. Seattle's very, very good at stopping the run. The best in the league at doing so. And New England is a top 5 team in pass rate over expected. Given the spread, given the probable game script here, I would be shocked if New England is not pass heavy in this game against Seattle. But then when they're pass heavy, I'm expecting more underneath throws, lower A-dot throws to the backs. So Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson. The slot, I think they're going to throw Stephon Diggs in there a lot. Like, this is not, to me, much of a Kayshon Boutte kind of game. This is more of a Stephon Diggs game. And then the tight ends. So Hunter Henry obviously being the go-to. Maybe your boy Austin Hooper will get some love or something, or some random tight end like that.
Yeah.
But then Drake May, I think the final takeaway, he's going to be pressured. He's going to be sacked. It sets up that way for sure. I mean, look, in these games too, teams have to execute.
Yeah.
I think we're going to know pretty quickly in the first couple drives if New England's offensive line is going to be able to hold up and be able to stop the pressure that Seattle's going to be bringing on that front, because Seattle's obviously, like I said, they're not doing it through the blitz very frequently. And so we're going to know pretty early on. So yeah, I mean, like, New England could just play well. Like, that's all that can like happen.
They have this season. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I would expect is a fairly heavy pressured game for Drake May. I think he's going to be sacked, but I think he's going to scramble a lot.
Yeah.
So we could see a lot of rushing yards and a decent amount of rushing attempts. This is also, it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's always been this, people have done research on this too, but just this, general rule that quarterbacks throw their bodies around more whenever the games are on the line. We see this with Patrick Mahomes when he's in the playoffs every single year. His rushing numbers go up because this is it. If he throws his body around and gets hurt, well, this is the last game of the year, so they probably are more than okay doing that, trying to win a Super Bowl, because these football players are built differently.
All right. So let's say that Patriots play well.
Yeah.
Let's say that they win.
Okay.
But let's say that you have to pick an MVP not named Drake May.
Okay.
That's a little bit under the radar. A little bit of a sneaky play.
Okay, I think you could go... Look, I mentioned the running backs are interesting, but I don't think they're going to go running back here, because the run game is not going to be solid enough, because Seattle can stop the run so well. So then you look at the receivers. You could go Diggs. I'm going to lean more towards Hunter Henry. I think Hunter Henry could be an X factor in this game. This is a matchup to exploit. So yeah, I'm going to say my sneaky MVP for the Patriots is Hunter Henry.
There you go. I mean, sneaky play. Again, this is not a betting show, so don't lock it in.
Yeah.
But if you did,
it's the Super Bowl and people are listening, whether the podcast feed or on YouTube, whatever.
Yeah,
it's the Super Bowl. You can have some fun and entertain yourselves with some. And if it's I just know that I'm not a betting expert.
Yeah.
I'm a fantasy football analyst.
Yeah, I like the sneaky play though. And another, speaking of sneaky plays, another sneaky play that has presented himself many times over the course of his career, just due to his position, is coming up next. We got Josh Johnson talking with us here on the Late Round Show.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Now let's get into the serious stuff. We're talking football food, specifically Daisy French onion dip.
That is serious.
Gotta try these delicious new dips from Daisy. These are so delicious, they're like homemade dips. Made with real herb and spices and other ingredients you'll find in your kitchen. Also made with some Daisy sour cream. Daisy sour cream is a long-standing staple for Taco Tuesday.
You know what I do? When I get my street burrito, I get the squirt Daisy.
Yeah.
And every bite. I know you.
I'm a huge sour cream guy. I love sour cream.
On top.
So I think burritos can't live without sour cream.
I completely agree with that.
They also have Daisy ranch dip. I love ranch dip.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it with crackers, wings, plain potato chip, the ones with the little crinkles, maybe some bell peppers. So get out there and give Daisy French onion dip a try. You will not regret it.
All right, we are live with maybe one of the mascots for the late round QB. It is Josh Johnson. Josh, last year with the Washington Commanders, and Josh, you have been on a few teams in your lifetime.
A lot.
And, and we were just talking before we went live just about how you keep your body, like your body is an investment basically.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the body is everything because, like I think the best way I can put it into an example, it's like a car. You know what I mean? You know, the great cars are great with the age. And if you don't take, you can keep a car from, like, we in 2026. A car from the 70s can work really well right now. Yeah. If you take care of it every day. Yeah. And I think that's the way the body is. You know, it's an engine, it needs fuel, and it also needs proper, you know, you need your WD-40. You know, you got to really keep the joints warmed up, and stretching is important. So that's probably the most I spend time on right now is making sure my body is proper.
Let's talk. Let me ask you about the position that you play, right? Because obviously the biggest position in the game. What do you think an average fan just doesn't understand about what you do?
They think we just come up. They just think we show up and practice and go home. They think our life is we think it's like high school. Oh, you got 3 hour practice and you do nothing else. My days are in season are literally from 6:30 until I fall asleep. Right. Literally, like I'm in the building 6:30. We have a walkthrough at 6:30, and then you go. Your first official meeting is at 8 o'clock. And no, everything prior to 8 is optional. But, you know, as a quarterback, you got to do these things to be prepared. And so I walk out of the building maybe 6:37 every day. And then I go home and watch film because, like, I'd rather watch film on an opponent in my living room because it's kind of like my sanctuary versus just being in the building and watching film because I feel like I've been in the building all day. And literally sometimes I may fall asleep 11:30, 12, and then getting up and doing it again the next day. Yeah, yeah. I mean, your positioning and you having been a backup for a while now, like, what's the toughest thing that you have to kind of mentally prepare for and physically, knowing that in any given moment this year, right, this past year, any given moment you step in, is it the preparation? Do you think that you can't lose? Because, like, we see a lot of these backup quarterbacks go in and out, right? Like they'll be a backup for 3 years in the league and then they're done. But you've been around for so long, and there's got to be some secret sauce there. I think the sauce for me is literally like holding myself to a standard that it kind of is borderline crazy. You gotta be a little bit crazy. Because you gotta trick your mind to show up every day mentally like you gonna play. Yeah. And I think for me, it was those moments when I did get to play. It really showed me like, all right. It's worth it. Wow, bro, you're gonna get in here and everything's gonna be moving really fast. You're not gonna really understand what they're gonna do. So you gotta be so prepared to where you can slow your mind down. You want your mind to really try to be slow so you can actually just breathe and just play the game. Because once, typically, after the first 2 or 3 series, it becomes football. But those 2 or 3 series you first come in is so important because everybody looking like, what is he going to do? What's going to happen? Right. What's going to happen? And if you're going in the fourth quarter, now you got to make something happen. So for me, I'm trying to come in there and literally bring a calm to myself first so I can be normal as possible
even though I know it's not going to be normal.
Yeah.
And then be able to just make sure that everybody around me can say, all right, let's go play. He got it.
Yeah.
That's literally all I'm focused on.
Yeah. I mean, that's straight mentality, though.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Do you meditate at all?
I meditate every day.
Do you?
Thank you to the Calm app.
Do you think that's like a huge?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, it was funny because my cousin Marshawn, you know Marshawn.
Yeah.
Like, when he was at the height of his career, I used to always ask him, like, cuz, like, how do you run through the C gap and don't blink?
Right.
He's like, cuz I just breathe. He's like, I take a deep breath before every play, and I literally just it centers me to do my job and then react. And literally when he said that, I just pursued it, and then I was like, okay, I found the Calm app. I meditate every day, do my 10 minutes, and I understand like the Zen state I need to be in.
Yeah.
And once I reach that state, I'm like, I'm good. Let's go do this.
I love it.
Marshawn Lynch, your cousin, I want to know, did y'all ever race?
Yeah, he beat me when we was little, but I beat him when we got older.
I mean, he's got a little bit more bulk to him now, right?
Yeah. Don't tell him that.
Yeah, you ran a 4.53. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
My question is this: 4.53. That was a little bit ago, right?
Yeah.
We're on uncode.
As a quarterback, though,
Right.
that's blazing.
Right,
though.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So here's my question, though, because now you see everybody kind of fine-tuning themselves. It's a game. They are gamifying the numbers. You think you could run faster than a 4.53 if you kind of knew what you know now then?
For sure. I feel like just the technique of getting off and just understanding the drive phase for the first 10 yards. Like the worst thing about me when I was coming out, I had a horrible get off. Like I didn't know how to start a race. I knew I could make up because I had a long stride and I had long legs, but literally like right now, my get off will probably be a lot better because I've heard the coaching points for 18 years.
Yeah.
Like I've heard our coaches and they don't think I'll be paying attention, but I literally listen to what they be saying. I'm like, okay, that make a lot of sense. And so I think now, I don't know if my back end will be the same, but my first 10 will be faster.
So you mentioned, obviously you've been around the league for a really long time, but you've also seen evolutions of the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you first entered, a lot of you had a lot of fullbacks out back there with you. You had a bunch of 2 running back sets, and then like the McVay era kind of happens. You get a lot more 11 personnel. You get a lot of these spread offenses. But recently, we're seeing more of the heavy personnel come back.
It's coming back.
Yeah,
it's coming back.
Is that something that like you're consciously thinking about? Like,
Yes.
and see, like, is it league wide? Like, does everyone just like know that this is coming and happening? Because it's from my I'll say amateur eyes, but like from my perspective, a lot of it is just the reaction to what how defenses are now built, right?
For
Where
sure.
they're thinner and faster and
For
quicker
sure.
and all that kind of stuff.
I think you hit it right on the nail. First off, I think this is a product where we're seeing the game transform back to the old ways because the pass rushers are just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like they literally are 290 pounds running 4.4s.
Cam Hayward walked by here
and
not
it's
long
like
ago.
the biggest
He's a
human being
force.
ever.
I'm like, how could any human being block this man?
And they can't. They just try to shield him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you gotta deal with those guys. And then he's just a one guy. Then you got TJ on the other side.
Right.
You got Highsmith. Then you got Herbert.
Right.
Like, and they literally sending 5 guys who really just want to get sacks because that's how they get paid. So I'm saying. So like seeing the game like go from under center when I first came in the league, because that's how I never threw a quick game. I never threw a slant route in the gun until I got to the NFL.
Wow.
In college we didn't do that. We took 3 steps and we threw a slant route, and so I had to learn how to do that. So see the game like go from under center to spread world when RG3 and Cap and Russell and all those guys came in the league and transformed the game, to now see it go back. Like I joke all the time with the youngsters because they be thinking they doing something new. I be like, bruh, this has been done already. Now it's coming back. And they be like, oh, we don't want to play that way. I said, you got to play that way because these pass rushers are just elite. They the best athletes on the field. And I think in order to protect the linemen, in order for to me to protect your quarterbacks, because I think if you're dropping your quarterback 50 times a game in the shotgun, it's a different element. But for a linebacker and a safety, when the quarterback's under center and the running back is 7.5 yards deep in a dot, it's a different mentality.
Right.
Like he has a 7-yard head start to get to me versus he's running sideways and his shoulder's not square. And so the mentality is different. And I think it's smart by the coaches to be able to bring the old ways back because it's a grind on the defense. And I think now the spread, everybody wants to score a lot of points and it's great and looks flashy. but it doesn't grind the defense out.
Right.
And I think what we're seeing now, we're starting to find that balance again within the league of grinding the defense so that in the fourth quarter, those pass rushes are a little bit normalized, you know what I mean? So the quarterback can drop back and see the defense clean and get completions.
How difficult, though, has it also been with the too high and teams running that as frequently as they are with these safeties just like these splash plays just aren't existing nearly as much anymore. So are you as a quarterback, how frustrating is it that you have to just go to it, just run like a 5-yard out and you're just like, that's what we got to do here?
So for me, I don't really care because I played in the old ways. The old ways, that was normal. The new ways, it's funny hearing defensive coaches walk into, like, I played for some defensive coaches, and I would get up there and they'll get a game plan and say, well, I don't really care if they rush for 150 yards. I'm like, what?
Yeah, right.
Like, I wouldn't have never in my life. Monty Kiffin, in my rookie year, would have went crazy if he gave up 150 yards rushing. And now they like, we don't care if they rush for 150. They're not going to stick to it. They're gonna try to throw bombs. They're going to take shape. They're going to take shots. And when they take shots, we're going to intercept them. And for me, I'm like, well, this is kind of how I was trained. Like me, all I look at it, if I get 4 yards, I get a first down, and I keep matriculating down the field, eventually you're going to have to give me what I want.
Exactly.
And once you give me what I want, we're going to have our way. So that's just kind of how I look at it.
Thoughts on David Blau as
shout
OC?
Out to B. Blau, man. Big shout out to him. Excited for him. I'm excited for his opportunity. He works really hard. He's a student of the game. He's very detailed. And me and him got real close because when Tavita left, he became our quarterback coach. And so when I was playing, me and him literally worked side by side. So I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's ready, and I think he's going to be great for Jaden. I think he's going to be great for the team, and I'm looking forward to see his opportunity.
Do you think that there's been this shift in these backup quarterbacks rising up the ranks quickly, very fast? I mean, across the league, you have Davis Webb now doing shout out to
Dragon, young Dragon Webb. Dragon Webb, he was I played with him in New York.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, even Scott Tolzien didn't take
Played
the
with Scotty in San Fran.
But all these backup quarterbacks are just do you think that it is the sort of cerebral, the fact that you guys have to be prepared in a way that other players aren't prepared, and you guys just, the bottom line, you guys just know ball more than the other player or the other coaches would.
All three of those names, all the three of those guys you just named, they literally students of the game, man. Like they can give it to you from a quarterback's perspective, they can give it to you from a coach's perspective, from what the receivers need to do, tight ends, running backs, etc. And I think, I'm glad the league is doing this because we need more teachers of the game, man. I think in the best teachers of the game is guys that have been able to actually be in it and experience it, because it's one thing we call it clicker pimping. It's one thing to be able to actually sit up there and rewind it, slow it down, and be able to say, okay, why didn't you do this? But one thing about the guys who played, they have that discernment to understand, I see why you did that. I saw the 3 technique get beat. I saw the 3 technique beat the right guard and flashed in front of your eyes, even though he didn't hit you. So I understand why you had to change your drop or why you moved your eyes that way. And I think it's so necessary now because the league has gotten younger. Most of the teams are a lot younger than what they used to be. So you need guys in there who actually experienced it, who can teach it, and also had that discernment to be like, I understand why you did that. Because everything is a reaction. And now we're so critical of the game. Be like, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? And I tell my
keyboard warriors.
Exactly. I tell my family all the time, you guys have been watching football from a lens of seeing it played the right way, because y'all watching on Sunday. Right. I said, but you got to put in perspective. This is second year in the league. This is his first time being out there. This is all new for him. What's old to you as a fan is new for him. So something that may seem routine, not routine for him. He got to go through those lumps just like everybody else did. It's not like we got Tom Brady just sitting around here 45 everywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely the exception to the rule right there.
For sure.
All right, real quick before we go, favorite wide receiver you've thrown to?
Ooh.
It's 4th down. It's 4th and goal.
Oh my God.
From the 12.
Had to have played with him.
God.
You got a lot of choices.
I got a lot of choices. And I got them in different eras too.
That's what I'm saying.
I played with Odell before the injuries. I played with AJ Green.
Look, if you want to say peak Odell, that's very acceptable.
Like Odell in his prime.
I'm going to make somebody mad. If it's 4th and 12 on the red zone, I need a high target who can catch anything. I'm going to go with a young AJ Green, Cincinnati.
Okay.
Because AJ literally can catch anything
Catch
in
radius
his
is
air.
crazy.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
Like, and he was like a center fielder. Like he could track a ball, put his head down, speed up, and retrack it. AJ Green was easy. Like, AJ, go out there, run a fade real quick. I'm going to throw it back shoulder. It's going to be a touchdown. So I'm going to say, but no disrespect to none of the receivers I played with because they always awesome. But it was 4th and 12 from the red zone, so I had to go with the 6'4" target.
Shout out AJ Green.
I got you.
All right, well, thanks, Josh. Really appreciate you being on with us.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Appreciate it.
man.
Thank y'all for educating me on fantasy football because I don't understand.
All right, so that was the interview with Josh.
Awesome dude.
I'm going to call him Josh because
He was awesome.
he's a friend now.
Yeah, and then, so people didn't see, like, we were talking to him for like 5
minutes before, yeah.
5 or so minutes
I was
before.
trying
and
to
we
get
were getting into like his workouts and like
trying to get your attention because I was like, we need to get this on record.
Yeah, no, it was
because
sick.
it was fun.
It was awesome. He was a super cool dude. But
Yeah.
it was fun. Like, that's the kind of thing that I've noticed with being here at Radio Row and like experiencing the Super Bowl is just like I want to just talk to these players because we play fantasy football and like it's very easy to not think of them as people sometimes,
right?
Because that's the game that we play, and no one's at fault for that. It's just like naturally how we play this game. We're looking at the kind of production they're giving us, the numbers that they're giving us, and so it is really nice to just because we don't get this opportunity to just sit down and talk to players. And so hopefully you guys like enjoyed the questions we asked and kind of the insight that he gave. I thought he gave some awesome answers, but also like just know that like before and after and such like. He was awesome.
Yeah.
It was great to talk to him.
Yeah, and tomorrow we've got some wide receivers that we'll talk to, including one who is just rising up the draft boards and another who crushed it last year in his rookie season. So stick around for that. JJ, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, man. I'm just thankful that we're here, and hopefully everyone enjoyed. I know it's a little bit of a different show and a different format and stuff, and things will be back to normal next week and all that good stuff. And I did the Buy Candidates episode earlier this week, but I mean, like, hopefully you guys are enjoying it and you guys can feel our excitement, through the show that like. This is cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Having everyone around us, it's cool. So shout out to iHeart and the folks at the NFL Radio or Podcast Network. On behalf of JJ, I'm David. We'll see you next time here on the Late Round Fantasy Football Show. Peace.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Now let's get into the serious stuff. We're talking football food, specifically Daisy French onion dip. These are so delicious. They're like homemade dips, made with real herb and spices, also made with some Daisy sour cream. Daisy sour cream is a long-standing staple for Taco Tuesday. They also have Daisy ranch dip. So get out there and give Daisy French onion dip a try. You will not regret it.
This episode is brought to you in part by Uber Eats. Every time you sit down to watch the game, you find yourself getting a little hungry. Football and food just go together. Good thing Uber Eats has game day deals all season long. We're talking savings on your favorite eats and snacks, wings, pizza, chips, drinks, you name it. Whether it's from your favorite restaurant or straight from the grocery store, Uber Eats has deals on everything you need for game day. Get game day deals on Uber Eats. Order now.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.